So at this point, the universe is yelling at me. The signs unmissable. The time impeccable. And honestly, you can't make this shit up. Buckle up. This is a wild one. Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 6 of Life Vetted. Thank you for being here and tuning in. Hey guys, what's up? Man, this week's episode is pretty interesting. I have been thinking a lot about all the things that have gone on in such a short period of time. And I kind of want to get into some of the synchronicities and some of the things that happen when the universe, God, source, whatever you identify with, is really nudging you in a certain direction. And I have had a few of those moments in my life, and I think this was a good time to talk about that. I was actually looking at this journal that I've had since, let's see what the first entry was. The first entry was May 31st, 2021. So I had this notebook for a while before May 31st, 2021. I kind of just had it like in my drawer. I'm like a notebook and pens and markers kind of person. So like I will have a notebook that I really love, and I would have just bought it and I would leave it in my nightstand or in my office, and I won't use it. I'll just have it there, and at some point I'll use it. But I just really like notebooks, and so I have this notebook that I've been writing in for a while, but I had it for even longer before I first started writing in it, and I really liked it. I think I got it like at maybe like TJ Maxx or Home Goods or something. And it says, "The sight of the stars makes me dream." And it's a quote by Van Gogh. And when I decided to start writing in it, I made the decision that I wasn't going to use this notebook how I usually write. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that I had notebooks upon notebooks when I was a kid and into like my teens and into my young adult years. I always had journals because it was the best way for me to express my feelings. I really didn't have a lot of people to talk to, so I would write everything down. And at some point I went through those journals and I would read like random entries, and I was like, man, this girl is sad. And it made me emotional and it made me sad to read those things. And so I didn't want this particular notebook to be something like that, especially because I'm obsessed with the sky. I'm obsessed with the stars. And so I didn't want to put ugly things in this notebook, if you will. So when I started to use it, I said, you know what? I am only going to write positive things in this notebook. Only good things. And I am proud to say that since that time, I have stuck to that promise. This notebook, it's almost as if I started manifesting my life with this notebook, everything in it. And you go through it, and there's not 1 ounce of sadness. And even if there is maybe something that I wrote where I was like, well, I've been feeling this kind of way, but I always turn it around into something like, well, I know this isn't gonna last, or I know that my life is gonna get better, or whatever. So it's very, very positive. And so I was thinking about when the universe talks to you and when it's trying to push you in a certain direction, sometimes we don't listen. The universe is always talking to us, but we're not aware, especially people who aren't on the spiritual path, or the people who don't believe in spirituality or in something bigger than us. And so those people definitely don't hear it. But it's always speaking to us nevertheless. And I started to think back to when I actually started to notice that the universe was nudging me in a certain way, or when the universe was trying to tell me something and I actually listened, and I actually was aware of what was going on. And it led me back to this notebook, and I was reading through it, and there were so many moments that led me to where I am now, and so many moments in here where I was literally manifesting my life as it is in this very moment. So I thought I'd share with you guys some of my experiences, and hopefully after you watch this video, you guys will notice the synchronicities in your life and start to go in that direction. This takes me back to a collage of pictures that I put on my notebook. And this was very early on, probably 2022. Yep, 2022. And I'll describe it. So there's pictures here of a woman who is designing the interior of a home. So there's blueprints, there's different color swatches for walls, there's different fabrics, there is an iPad and a computer, and there's a woman putting these pictures up on a board, like doing a mood board. And this was in 2022. I have always been a very creative person. Unfortunately, because I moved out of my house so early, I had no choice but to find a job that was going to support me, my rent, my car, all of these things. That led me to banking, where I have been working in banking pretty much my entire life. The first time that the universe really nudged me in a different direction was when I was left with no choice but to walk out from a job that I had been at for about 4 years. And that was here in Colorado. I was left with no choice but to walk out. And I remember when I walked out, I was not very afraid. Now, me in Miami, if I had lost a job, I had lost jobs when I was living in Miami, that would have devastated me. I would have gone completely insane. But for some reason, when I walked out of this job, I was not scared at all. This was post relationship breakup. I had already been on my own for a little bit. Probably 3 months or something. It was almost one thing after another. I called off my engagement, and then a few months later I had to walk away from that job. And I remember that I wasn't even very scared. I got home and I was contemplating what had happened. I remember feeling anxious a little bit as I got home because it got more real and more real. And then I went straight to writing in my book. I tried to maintain a super positive outlook, and it served me well because, like I said, as I was walking out of that building, I felt relief almost. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And I think what happens is that we revert to our natural state, right? And so I was always used to working a 9 to 5 and all that. And so when I got home and a little bit of the reality sinked in, that little voice crept in and was trying to get me off my rocker. It was the universe's way of saying, hey, this is not where you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to be here. You have more value. You have more to do, more to bring to the world. And to be honest, I was getting tired of the 9 to 5. I am not a corporate girly, okay? Corporate people, even the ones that you think are kind and nice, they're not. It is a vicious, ugly game that you have to play, that I played for a long time. You have to play for the right team too. You have to stay in a certain group and be a certain way so that, you know, nobody really looks at you. And it's just it's like high school with a paycheck, if you will. And so I was getting really tired of that. And the universe always knows what you want, it knows what you need, and it knows how to get you there. You just have to let yourself be guided. You can't fight against the current. And so I think that after I walked out of there, even though I felt relief, that little voice crept in, right? And it was like, oh, well, what are you going to do? You can't do this, you know? I was still very early in this kind of journey that I was going on after, you know, my breakup. And so I quickly got another job, super high paying job. And the job that I got led me back to somewhere that I didn't want to be. And I left that job as well. And so after that, I got another job. And I remember I have, like I said, an astronomer that I talk to like every 6 months. And I remember he told me, I had met with him and he said, you're going to find a job. You're going to get a job that you're going to be super free. You're going to have a lot of time to do whatever you want. You're going to set your own schedule. And I was like, oh my God, this is insane. If I did get that job and I had a very free schedule, I only stayed at that job because of the kind of freedom that I had. It was a 9 to 5er, you know, quote unquote, I'm doing air quotes. It was like a 9 to 5 corporate job, but I had very, very much a free schedule. I can make my own schedule. I can do my own thing. As long as I was doing and meeting the quotas that they wanted me to meet, I was fine. And so having that job led me to be able to have multiple streams of income because I was working there, but I also had the freedom to do what I needed to do on the side or whatever the case. I actually started up my business again when I got that job. It was a very synchronized moment that led me to say, you know what? Why don't I start up my business again? When I first moved here, I opened a boutique with a partner and I had a clothing boutique, which I loved. I loved it so much. Unfortunately, of like 6 to 10 months into it, we stopped because, well, I stopped because my daughter's father and I broke up and I had to get a job that would pay a rent and pay a car. I moved out, so I had to go back into banking. I had no choice at that point. And I stopped my business. I had my logo, I had everything, but I stopped. All of this came around where I was working this job that I had so much freedom. And I had this particular moment that opened my eyes. I was getting my nails done at a salon, and the girls there were like really nice, and we would always kind of chit chat and all this stuff. And we got into a conversation about fashion and like interior design and all these things. And I was just telling them how I went to school for it, and I was just kind of giving them tips and all this. And there was a lady sitting next to me, an older lady, and she looked over at me and she said, "I'm sorry, do you have a business card? Like, what do you, where can I see your work or whatever?" And I told her that I was no longer doing that. That, this is where I work now and this is what I do now. And she looked at me and she was like, well, that's a shame, because I just watched you talk about these subjects for about 10-15 minutes. And she said, and your eyes, your face, like, glowed. It was, you look so happy talking about that. You looked so mesmerizing. I thought you were still doing it because you were talking about it and your face just lit up. And at the moment, I really couldn't understand what had happened. She was telling me this and I was like, "Oh, thank you, And she said after she was done getting her nails done and she was walking away, she leaned over to me and she almost in my ear whispered and she said, "I hope you find your way back to what you love, because I can tell that you love it so much. I can tell that you're so passionate about it. And I hope that you find a way to get back to that." Again, in the moment, I was like, "Oh, okay, thank you." I got to the point where I was like, well, it is what it is. This is my life. This is what I have to do to pay rent, which had been my recording in my brain for such a long time, right? Like, I had given up all the things that I really loved and my dreams. I was just like, you know what? This is what it is. I had been that way since I was 19, 20. I had to do what I had to do. And after I'm done getting my nails done, I go out to the car and I sit down and everything hits me all of a sudden. And I was like, oh my God. It was like I had like an epiphany in that moment. I got very emotional, and it was all the ideas that I had. It was like I downloaded everything in that moment. I was like, oh, I can do this with my logo, with my name. I can offer this service. I can, and it was like boom, 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 boom. And it was so overwhelming. I was so emotional, but I felt like this is exactly what I have to do. What am I doing? Like, I have this free time. I have a position where I can do whatever I want. Why am I not taking advantage of that? And in that moment, I decided that's what I was going to do. And I truly, truly feel that woman that said that to me was like an angel. Like, the universe sent her to me. It was a sign from the universe. The universe was clearly speaking to me and saying, what are you doing? This is what you need to do. And within a week, I had a website. I had ordered business cards. I went in on this. And although it was kind of slow at the beginning, I slowly started picking up jobs. It was really cool the way that everything kind of fell into place. Fast forward, the job that I had laid off a few people, and I was one of the people that got laid off. And I was not at all sad or scared. I had been working all summer with them, but also with my business on the side, and I had gotten so many jobs and I had done so many things with my business that I had a little bit of like this people knew who I was. People started to, book me for gigs and jobs and stuff. And so it was just kind of like this synchronized, like, ice skating dance that just everything fell into place. And if I had not listened to the universe in that moment, who knows where I would be. And this picture that I described in my notebook, this is what I do now. I got a job with a really big real estate agency, and now I do all of their interior design, or staging, if you will, for all their properties. So I do this every day. I pick out the furniture. I design the inside of the homes. It's crazy. And I did this in 2022. And that was one of those moments where it's like, I don't understand people that think that things are just coincidences. I don't understand that. I don't want to understand that. I don't ever want to live in a world where I believe that the things that are happening have zero meaning, there is no magic, and things are just coincidences. I never want to live like that ever. It's insane. And so that's just one of the stories. I mean, I can tell you that since I started writing in my notebook, I've seen so many synchronicities. I mean, I see repeated numbers on a daily basis, all the time. The universe talks to us in numbers, angel numbers, and I see them all the time, every single time. And I've noticed that the more I released control, right? Because anybody in my position would probably have gone crazy and been scared and been like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And I didn't do that. And so the more I released control and the more that I had faith in this beautiful universe, and the more that I knew in my heart that I was taken care of, that I was protected, that I was safe, what was happening didn't matter. I mean, the world could be crumbling down around me, and I was like, I'm gonna be fine. Everything's fine. I know I'm safe. I know I'm protected. I know the universe loves me. I know the universe has my back. The more and more I started to change the recording of my brain, the more and more these synchronicities would happen. I would see numbers all the time. People were nicer to me when I would go out. I mean, I would get complimented more. It was just like these things that were just happening. And again, like, I also did other things to make sure that I was reprogramming my subconscious. Like, I have this subliminal messaging tapes that I listen to. Well, they're not tapes, but on my phone I have this subliminal messaging audio that I listen to every night when I sleep. I would meditate more. Anytime that I felt a certain kind of way, I made sure I meditated in the morning. I mean, there are things that I did to contribute to changing my way of thinking. It wasn't that it just kind of happened, but when I did it, I just saw more synchronicities and more good things happening. And it was just inevitable to be like, these are not coincidences. Coincidences do not exist. And it felt so comforting and so peaceful to know and to feel like I wasn't alone, and like I really had a support system that I felt. And this is what signs from the universe are. Anytime you see multiple numbers or someone randomly stops you in the grocery store and says something to you, you gotta pay attention. You really have to pay attention because the universe is always talking to us. And so that was one of those moments that I look back at now and I'm like, man, that's so crazy the way the universe was just pushing me a certain way, you know? It was great. And I see it every day. That's why I'm so amazed by everything every day. Everything feels like a miracle every time I do something, go out, talk to people. Like nothing feels by chance. Everything feels on purpose. Everything feels like it's supposed to be happening in that moment. And so it all feels like magic. It all feels like the world is conspiring in front of me to put me where I need to be or to get to where I want to go. It's like this beautiful dance. And I feel kind of sad for the people that don't believe in that. And I feel kind of sad for the people that can't see that because it's so much better on this side. It is so much better over here. Let me tell you guys about this other story that is no coincidence. I am telling you, it's crazy. So when I first started working at my last job, it was going to be the anniversary of a year that I had been single. I started thinking, I was like, man, what do I want to do for my birthday this year? This is the first birthday, on my own. It's going to be a year that I have been by myself. What do I want to do for my birthday? And so I had been writing in my notebook, right? So in May of 2022, I spoke to my astrologer, as I do. And when I speak to him, I usually will take some notes. He records a session, he sends it to you afterwards, but I like to take some notes just to remember certain things. Specifically, he said that September 7th and 8th of 2022 were going to be some very, very auspicious days for me. He said, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I know that September 7th and 8th are going to be some sort of turning point. I mean, it's going to be a very, very positive day. 2 days for you. Very auspicious. I wrote that down. I have the note that I wrote that down on. And so during this time, again, I was going through my breakup. And I had been listening to a lot of country music. I became very obsessed very fast with country music and specifically with Morgan Wallen. I wrote an entry on my notebook, July 15th, 2022, going into detail about how much I love country music and how obsessed I am with this particular country music person, Morgan Wallen. If you know me personally, you know that it's a big, big deal in my life. I even did a collage on my notebook of what I would want my relationships to be like, my future romantic relationships. And, I have pictures of When Harry Met Sally. That's my favorite rom-com. And Joey and Pacey from Dawson's Creek. And, of course, Morgan Wallen. I had to put Morgan Wallen there. I love him. I loved him before. I love him now. I love him forever. So I have pictures of him on here, and I wrote that entry in July. So around the end of July, August, I said, what am I going to do for my birthday? At that point, my TikTok obsession was starting also. And so through TikTok, I found out that he was touring. And I was like, man, how cool will it be if I went to a concert? I am coming up on a year being single. I go to restaurants by myself. I go to the movies by myself. I should go to a concert by myself. What's the big deal? I could do that, right? So I look up the concert, and he had already come to Colorado. I had just missed him. He had come in May, and this is like end of July. And I was like, damn it, I missed him. But maybe I can go somewhere else. And so I look up, and the closest place that he was going to was Utah. And I said to myself, oh, well, Utah's cool. I have a friend that lives there from middle school. And I'm sure that maybe she'd want to come with me. Maybe we can hang out and we could go to the concert together. That's perfect. And unfortunately, when I told her if she can come, she couldn't because it was her husband's birthday during the time that I wanted to go, and she wasn't able to go with me. But she was very kind and amazing, and she was like, you know what, but you can just stay in my house. We won't be here, but you can stay in my house, and that way you don't have to get a hotel. And I said, you know what, that sounds good. I started looking up prices for his concert, and for like $260, those tickets were for the lawn. This is like August. And I was like, well, you know what? Who cares? I don't care if I'm in the lawn. I just want to go to the concert. It'll be an experience, etc., right? And I think it was probably like a week later, I had a coworker who was like a huge country music fan. He was like, I told him I wanted to go to the Morgan Wallen concert and that I was going to go to Utah. He's like, Utah? Why do you want to go to Utah? He's going to be in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and you don't even have to take a plane. You could just drive. So for those who don't know, from where I live to Albuquerque, it's like a 4-hour drive. It's kind of like people that go from Miami to like Disney World or Orlando. It's like 4 hours and change. And so he's like, you should just go there. Like, you can drive. You don't even have to get on a plane. And so I looked up the tickets. And for about, I think it was like, maybe for like $50 more, going to the concert in Albuquerque, I would have paid $320 or something. And I would be right in front of the stage. It was like right there, okay? And I was like, man, like, it's only this much money more. Like, I could totally just go to Albuquerque. But I started to get indecisive because I was going by myself. If I went to Utah, I would at least be in a familiar place, right? My friend offered me to stay at her house. I would feel comfortable. I wouldn't have to get a hotel. And let's face it, Utah is way more safe than Albuquerque. And although I am not a very paranoid person, I don't ever think anything bad is going to happen to me. I have a daughter, and so, you know, you have to think about that. You're going by yourself somewhere you've never been before. You have to be a little cautious. And so I kept going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I was like, man, again, coming up on a year by myself, I also had to think about, well, do I really want to spend that money? And so I just kept going back and forth. I was kind of nervous about it. And last minute, I said, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm going to go, and I am going to sit front row at this concert. I'm going to have the time of my life. I'm not even going to drive. I'm going to book myself a first class seat. At that time, I was still drinking. So I said, I'm going to have champagne on the plane. I'm going to have a great time. I'm going to go. And it is what it is. Okay? I book my flight and I go. And I'll tell you that whole day, the day that I was driving to the airport to get on my flight, all of this, the amount of synchronicities and angel numbers and just everything that happened to me that day was something that I, even up to that point, have never experienced before, ever. I go put gas in my car. The gas pump flips off because it's full, and it flips off on $33.30. So 333. I was like, oh, great. Thank you, universe. Get in my car. Drive to the airport. I leave my car in the parking lot. I walk in. I go through security check. I'm walking to my gate. There's someone who stops me to say, wow, you look so nice. You're dressed so nicely. Where are you going? Random. I'm like, what is happening right now? Okay. Oh, thank you. Super polite. I get to my gate. I sit down. I'm waiting for my plane. There's a guy sitting next to me. Turns around. Wow, you look so nice. You're like glowing. Where are you going? Okay, cool. Thank you. All right. I get on my plane. I sit down. My seat is A1. Okay, 1A. I sit down. They ask me what I want. I tell them I want a mimosa. It's morning. And as I look over, I'm the first seat, first row. I can see where all the stewardesses, they have like the drinks and all that. And on the actual cart, there's a sticker, and the sticker had like, I don't know, QC and then 777. Another angel number. I'm like, man, what is happening? I was so happy. If you look up 777, 777 means good things are about to happen. Like really good things are about to happen. So I was pumped, man. I was like, yeah, this is great. I feel so good. I feel protected. I feel like this is going to be such an amazing trip. I feel like everything is so great, right? I get to Albuquerque. I get down. I order my Uber. I'm waiting for my Uber. As I'm waiting for my Uber, there's a guy next to me who looks at me and he's like, you're not from here, are you? And I'm like, no, just visiting. And he's like, yeah, I can tell because like your fit is dope. Like you look dope. Your clothes, your shoes, like you look cool. And I was like, oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Dude, at this point, I'm like, what is going on? In Miami, yes, I would get complimented all the time, hit on all the time. In Colorado, people are much, much more reserved. Guys here are not gonna like come up to you and like hit on you like blatant. Like it's not something that I was used to living in Colorado, okay? It's out of the ordinary if someone actually does that. And so again, it's a year to the anniversary that I was single, so it's not like I was at such a state where I was going out or anything. I've never been that type. So it's not like, people would compliment me. This was very out of the ordinary. And it happened just as I'm saying it. It was like the angel numbers, boom. I get to the airport, people are complimenting me. The guy at the gate compliments me. Then I see the 777 on the airplane. I mean, it just was like boom, boom, boom. I get to Albuquerque. That kid tells me that too. And then the Uber gets there. I know this sounds crazy. The Uber gets there, takes my luggage, puts it in the back. I get in. And the Ubers usually like talk to you or like, hey, whatever. The Uber's like, man, you are so beautiful. Thank you so much for, you smell so good. He also says to me, you smell so good. Thank you for like coming in the car and smelling nice. Sometimes as an Uber driver, you never know who you're going to pick up. It's a little crazy. And so I just appreciate you being dressed so nice and smelling so nice. It's so, it's so refreshing. Dude, I'm like, what is happening? Okay. I get to my hotel. Mind you, this hotel that I booked it's a nice hotel. It wasn't some motel, some days in. It was a nice hotel. It was probably like, I don't know, $200 a night. It was in the middle of Albuquerque downtown. It was a very nice hotel. And I get there, the Uber takes out my luggage, and as I'm walking in, I kid you not, as I'm walking into the hotel, there are these two girls getting off the elevator, leaving the hotel, and I'm walking in to check in. Now, mind you, my flight was about 2 hours early from check-in time, but I had so many nice things happen to me that I was like, oh, that's not a problem. Like, so many good things have happened that, who knows? I'm gonna go see if my room is ready. If it wasn't ready, I would have just walked around, whatever. But all these like synchronicities and all these like super great things were happening to me that I was like, man, I'm just gonna go check, see if my room is ready. As I'm walking in, these girls are walking out. And now when I see a pretty girl, I have no problem saying how pretty she is. I have no problem complimenting her on her clothes, her purse, her shoes, whatever. I've always been like that. I am like that. And I know that the majority of girls are not like that. So when these girls stopped me as I'm coming into the hotel to compliment me and ask me where I got my clothes, where I got my shoes, to tell me that I look so pretty, I was like, oh shit, this is really crazy. Like, what? This is really crazy now, okay? I couldn't believe it. I was so shocked. I was like, oh my God, this is like the best day ever, okay? So I go to the front desk and I tell the front desk, I said, hi, I am early, but I wanted to see if by chance maybe my room is ready. That would be great, right? Okay. Lady looks up my reservation and says, yeah, your room is ready. I was like 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours early. Check-in was at 4, and I think by this time it's like 1. And she says, yeah, your room is ready. We can give you the key right now. I was having the time of my life, okay? I was like, this is fantastic. I can go upstairs. I can take a shower. I can relax before the concert. The concert was that night. I went to Albuquerque the same day of the concert. I was going to sleep there and leave the next day. That was the trip. Wasn't anything crazy. It's just one night. So she's processing everything, about to give me the key. And I tell her, you know what? I'm very hungry. Do you know like where I can eat? I look around and there is nobody in this lobby. Okay. It's like empty. I can tell there's a restaurant, but the restaurant is closed. And she tells me, she's like, yeah, the restaurant closes after breakfast, and then it'll open up again in the afternoon. And I'm like, well, I'm hungry right now. What, like, is there anywhere I can go? Just tell me where to go and I'll go. And so she says, yeah, there's a place around the corner. And I'm like, oh, perfect. She gives me my key. I said, well, can you tell me how to get there? Like, do I have to walk? Where do I turn? Right, left? When she's going to tell me how to get there, I hear a voice from behind me that says, oh, I was just looking that up because I'm going to go there to eat also. I think I heard this person say we are going to go there to eat. I don't remember exactly. I just know that they said, I was just looking that place up because I'm going to go eat there as well. The place that the person who was checking me in suggested. And when I turn around, to see who it was that walked into the lobby, because I had looked around, there was nobody there. At some point, this person walked in. When I turn around and I look, I see a guy about 6'2", curly, wavy hair up to here, backwards cap, no, frontwards cap with their glasses on top of the cap, with a Colorado Rockies shirt, and the sun was beaming this way, so I couldn't make out his face so much. It was like it was casting a shadow. The sun was going this way, so I couldn't really see. And I turned around and I saw the Colorado Rockies shirt, and automatically in my head I said, oh, this guy for sure is here. He's from Colorado. He's here for the Morgan Wallen concert, and he's here with his friends, and they're gonna go to the Morgan Wallen concert. And when I turned around and I said, oh, that's cool, you're going there to eat? He's like, yeah, I just looked it up. And I walk over to him after the lady had given me my key, and I look up. I kid you not. I wish I can show all of you the picture of this person. I don't want to do that to respect his privacy. But when I look up, I look at this man, and he looks identical. As close as you could possibly get to looking like someone. This man looked just like Morgan Wallen. I kid you not. Okay? Just like Morgan Wallen. And I look at him still in shock, okay? I had 3 mimosas on the plane on an empty stomach, so I knew something was crazy was happening, but I was still, I needed some food in my stomach. And I said, because I was by myself, I even said to him, I said, can I walk with you guys, plural, so that I don't have to walk alone? I could just walk with you guys if you guys are going there. And he's like, oh yeah, for sure. Go put your stuff away, and then I'll just wait for you down here. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I go upstairs, I leave my stuff, I come back downstairs, I go out. His car is, in the lobby, in the entrance of the hotel, and he's by himself. And I said to myself, where are his friends? I'm so confused right now. Okay. I go up to the car, and you guys are gonna think that I'm crazy. How do you get into a stranger's car? You don't even know this person. But again, I had such an amazing day with so many synchronicities and signs from the universe that I was just going with the flow, and I was in the moment, and I was just doing where the universe was guiding me. I was just going. It was impossible that this person was going to be, I don't know, a murderer. I just knew that it was okay. I had no feeling. This is the thing, when you start to listen to your body and you start to listen to the universe, you know in your intuition, in your gut, when something's wrong, when something's right. And I just knew that there was no harm going to come to me, that this was all part of whatever the fuck was happening. I just knew it. I'll tell you. And it was a super gentleman, opened the door for me. I got in the car. It was literally just across the street. He was taking his car to park it in an outside parking because he had this big old truck with a trailer, and he couldn't park it in the underground parking lot of the hotel. So he had to park it in the outside parking lot, which is why we took the car. I thought we were walking. With his friends. So when I get in the car, I'm like, where are your friends? And he's like, what friends? And I'm like, wait. I said, aren't you here from Colorado? Aren't you here for the Morgan Wallen concert? And he's like, Colorado? He's like, I'm not from Colorado. And I'm like, dude, you're wearing a Colorado, well, are you not from Colorado? He's like, no, I'm not from Colorado. I'm actually from Iowa. I came down here for work to pick up some stuff. And I'm like, huh? He's like, yeah. I'm like, you're not here for the Morgan Wallen concert? He's like, no, there's a concert tonight? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, man, I've heard that guy's name a bunch of times. I don't really listen to country music, but everyone's always telling me I look like him. Like, literally. Like, I have people, like, on Facebook, like, they would, like, write on my page and say, bro, you look just like Morgan Wallen. Like, I'm telling you, I can't, like, get away from it. People tell me this all the time, and I don't even, like, really listen to Morgan Wallen. Okay, so at this point, I am tripping, right? I'm like, what the hell is going on? This is crazy. We park the car, we walk over to the place where we're going to eat, which is like just right down the street. I tell him that I'm here on a birthday trip, gift to myself. And he's like, oh man, it's your birthday? I'm like, well, my birthday's at the end of the month on the 28th. And he said, your birthday's on the 28th? My birthday's on the 28th of the following month. I'm like, what is happening? Listen, okay? This is crazy. We have a great time eating. We're laughing. We're talking. He doesn't let me pay for my food. He invites me to lunch. He said, it's your birthday. I got you. He didn't let me pay. He FaceTimes one of his friends and he's like, look, I think I'm gonna go. He tries to get tickets to go to the concert. The concert was sold out. He offers to pick me up from the concert. He's like, hey, I'll pick you up from the concert. I just want to get like a cat nap because I've been driving all day and I'm only here for one night. I got here today. I'm sleeping at this hotel. And then I'm going to wake up and leave to drive back to Iowa. I was only here to pick something up. I just needed a place to sleep and a place to shower. First of all, who gets a $200 plus a night hotel room if you're just going to shower and you're just going to sleep? Okay, number one. And second, he's there all by himself. Just like I was there all by myself for one night, okay? He offers to pick me up from the concert. He couldn't get a ticket. He watches the concert from the parking lot, literally the whole concert. He couldn't get a ticket to get in. We hang out after the concert. Super nice. I mean, the guy, it's insane. I really wish I could show you guys a picture, but I can't. I like really identical to Morgan Wallen. I have an amazing time at the concert. I go to the concert. I meet a girl, a woman, in the line of the concert who is from Albuquerque. And she's like, you're here by yourself? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, girl, you're brave. I'm like, like super nice. Takes me to my seat, shows me around. She's like, look, the bathrooms are over there. The exit is over there. The food is over there. Like, super nice lady. It's insane. I sit next to a couple who we become friends throughout the concert. The guy and the girl, they were super nice. They stayed with me the whole time. They're like, we're staying with you until we leave the concert because we want to make sure that you're safe. It's like insane. Like, I don't even know. I come back. I had my notebook at the concert. Not at the concert, but at the trip, I had my notebook. I go to the airport the next day and I write in my notebook about what just happened. It wasn't until I got on the plane and I got to my house that I realized how incredibly protected and beautiful the experience that I had just had. And when I come into my office to sit down and I look at some papers that I had in my office, this was, I don't know, a few days after, I notice the notebook that I used to write down the notes from the astrologer that I had talked to in May. And guess what dates he had said were going to be the most auspicious days. Guess. September 7th and September 8th. The concert, the day that I was in Albuquerque, was September 7th and September 8th. I got there on the 7th and I left on the 8th. When I sat down and saw that, I freaked out. I was like, holy fucking shit. Speechless. Literally, I have no words. Okay? And I'll tell you, fast forward, I have kept in touch with Little Wallen. That's what I call him. Lil Wallen. I have kept in touch with him. And I have realized that his appearance in my life was just to strengthen the faith that I already was getting, right? That I was going through this time. And his presence in my life only signifies and only deepens the fact that there are no coincidences. The universe is always at play, okay? I literally manifested a Morgan Wallen lookalike from my thoughts because I was so incredibly obsessed with this man that I brought him into my existence the way that I could. And it was in that way. And it's funny because fate is only fate if we decide that it is. And so I am not here to mold and twist people's ideas and make them believe what I believe and make them follow me or my beliefs. I'm not here to do that. I am here to express my stories, live my life as authentically as I can, and hopefully inspire people to maybe change the way they see things, right? And so I met this person, I hung out with this person even after the fact, actually not too long ago, and it saddens me because you can tell that this person does not believe in magic, does believe in coincidences, is a very 3D mentality. And what I mean by that is if I see it, I believe it, right? And obviously that's not me. And obviously my belief is that the world does not work that way. It's not about what you can touch, taste, feel, and smell. There's a bigger thing at play here. It's way bigger than what we can even conceive. And so this person is from a small town, and so they have, even though they are a worldly person, they have traveled and all these things, you can tell that this person is not at the belief system that I am, or at the level of spirituality and kind of like this blind faith in the things that we cannot see. I can tell that this person is not like that, because to them that meaning was just a coincidence, like just a coincidence, but it obviously isn't. And so I've had to kind of let that go and not read into it in that way, and just kind of be okay with knowing that manifesting that person into my life at that time, on that day, in that moment, in that city, in that way, is just another sign from the universe that I am in the right place. I am in the right time. What I believe is true. The faith that I have is valuable. And so that's just another one of those stories that I really had like this epiphany where I'm like, this stuff really works. Manifesting really works. Having faith really works. Listening to the universe really works. You know, if anything, his presence in that day, in that moment, kept me safe. He took me out to lunch. He offered to pick me up. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I was by myself in a city where I didn't know anyone. Albuquerque is not, you know, the nicest city. The amphitheater was in the middle of the desert, like in the middle of nowhere. So if anything, it was just more synchronicities and more of the universe saying like, you're protected, you're safe, you're good. And I mean, it's crazy. I mean, there has been so many more coincidences in regards to that situation where it is just more apparent that meeting that person was definitely not a coincidence. But like I said, I have to continue my flow and my life. I am not here to manipulate anyone into believing what I believe in. And so at this point, I can just say for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, that the things that I believe in, the things that I've gone through, this faith that I have regained from my life experience is 1,000% true. Angel numbers are real. Angels are real. Magic is real. And it just gives me so much peace. I don't know how people can live day to day and just not really believe in anything and just kind of, you know, like you ever seen like a plastic bag caught in the air that's just kind of like flowing? I don't understand how people can live that way. And I hope that if someone who's in between, not knowing really what to believe in or what to feel, I hope they come across my video and I can inspire them to see things a different way. Because you can't make that shit up. This story that I just told you, you can't make it up. The story about the lady in the nail place, you can't make that up either. Like, it's insane. I feel so blessed to have this point of view. And if it wasn't for all these multiple kind of stories, I don't know that I would be able to have some evidence to say, no, you know, these things exist. Even with the losses of my job and how it led me to what I'm doing now and just kind of the unraveling of everything, there's no coincidence, guys. There isn't. The universe knows what you want. It is okay to want and ask for things and manifest it and live as though those things have already happened, because once you start living in the magic of it all, it starts to manifest in the 3D. It is law. That is the law. The world is not like this meaningless place where things just happen. It is not a coincidence that the earth rotates on its axis. It is not a coincidence that we are at the perfect distance from the sun. It is not a coincidence that our our galaxy and the Milky Way and our solar system is in the place in space that it is. None of those things are coincidences. None of the things that happen to you on a day-to-day basis are coincidences. The people you meet, the people you interact with, the things that happen to you, it is all a reflection of your vibration and your energy. And everything is energy. Even this notebook, the camera, everything is just atoms vibrating together at a certain frequency. And if you can't find your way to that magic, you'll never experience the magic. You'll never feel true joy, and you'll never understand that you have the power to do or be anything you want or have anything you want. These things don't happen by chance. It is all very carefully calculated at the right time, at the right space, in the right moment. But you have to pay attention. You have to pay attention, and you can't fight it. Because even if you're trying to fight it, the universe will find a way to push you into the direction that you need to go. When I walked out of that 9-to-5 job, I was relieved because I knew in my subconscious that I no longer wanted to be part of corporate America. It wasn't where I belong. And I got another corporate America job. And the universe again was like, no, you don't belong here. Go. And another situation came up out of nowhere where I knew that I needed to go. And I left. And so, see what I'm saying? Like, it just kept happening. Things kept happening. My job, laying people off. Things kept happening up to the point where the universe is like, you're supposed to be here, not here. You're supposed to be there. And it just kept pushing me and nudging me and nudging me and nudging me until I finally got the point. Until I finally was like, I have to let go. And I just have to flow. And whatever happens, I'm okay with it. I'm at peace because I know that I'm protected. I know that I'm safe. And so whatever will be, will be. I don't have to continue to grind that rock of this is what I want. This is what I want. I want this and I want this and I want this. No, the universe already knows what you want. It knows your deepest, darkest, lightest thoughts and everything. So all you have to do is once you know that, you just put your hands up. Put your hands up and you let go. And I've been doing that ever since. And ever since, my life has done a complete 180. Ever since then, the more spiritually aligned I've become, the more I go out and people compliment me more. That never happened before. Not up until I went on that trip. I was like, oh. Now I go out, I get complimented all the time. People will stop me and ask me where I got my shoes, where I got my shirt, where I got my glasses. How cool do I look? Oh, what? I mean, people have asked me like, are you a designer? You must be a designer. Just because of the way that I look, the way that I dress, my aura, my vibe. And the only thing that has switched in my brain is the recording of what I tell myself now versus what I told myself back then. That's the only thing that has changed. believing, having faith, knowing that the universe is just every little thing, treating every little thing as a miracle, being grateful for every little moment, you know. I was cooking yesterday in my kitchen. I told you guys that's like my place. And I cooked some penne pasta with some ground beef and some Italian sausage at my daughter's request. And I remember I finished cooking, I tasted it. I always taste it, make sure it's good. And I remember tasting it. Oh, and it tasted so good. And I just savored it. And I served myself a plate. This was before I went to go pick her up from school. And I served myself a plate and I ate it. And after I ate it, I was like, oh my God, this tastes so good. And I said to myself, thank you. Thank you, universe. And I am like that with pretty much everything. And just that small little change in my brain and my subconscious, the world just looks different to me now. And because the world is different to me, I look at it differently. The energy that I get back reflects that. Everything is a reflection of you. Everything. And so that the reflection that I get now is a happier, more beautiful, kinder reflection. And that's just all me. And I wish that more people could see that. I wish that more people could believe in the power that we have as creators and in the magic that exists every single day. Every single day. As I always say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. The lessons will always find you. This is Life Vetted. Until next time.